She was my gym partner, my best friend, my biggest cheerleader, until I realized she'd been secretly sabotaging my diet for months, just to beat me on stage. I still remember the smell of that gym, the mix of sweat, steel, and ambition. It wasn't glamorous, but to me it felt like the place where dreams were built. I'd been training for months, chasing something bigger than muscle or medals. I wanted to prove I could do something on my own. That's where I met Lena. She walked in one morning with this confident stride and a smile that could make the mirrors shine brighter. We clicked instantly. Two girls with the same goal: to compete, to transform, to rise. She was everything I wasn't: loud, fearless, charming. I was quieter, more focused, but together, we worked. Every day became a ritual. Warm-ups, sets, sweat, laughter. She'd yell, "Come on, girl, 2 more reps." And I'd push till my arms trembled. We'd collapse on the floor, giggling like kids after a race. I trusted her completely. She wasn't just my gym partner, she became my best friend. We started sharing everything: playlists, diet plans, dreams. She'd stay late helping me perfect my posing routine. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me, eyes narrowed for just a second before turning into a smile. I brushed it off. Maybe she was just tired. When we registered for the state-level fitness competition, we were unstoppable. Everyone at the gym called us the power duo. They said it'd be impossible to choose between us on stage. I believed it. And maybe that's where my first mistake began: believing too much. Lena started pushing me harder, saying she wanted both of us to win. She'd bring me shakes after workouts, saying they'd speed up recovery. I didn't question it. She knew more about supplements than I did, and I trusted her completely. We'd talk late into the night about our future, opening our own fitness brand, traveling for competitions, being that duo everyone admired. I thought it was real. I thought friendship meant cheering for each other, not secretly wishing to outshine the other. Looking back, there were tiny moments I ignored, like how she'd subtly change my meal plan, saying, "You need a bit more carbs, your body's burning too fast." Or how she'd smile a little too long when people complimented me. I thought it was pride in me. Turns out it was something else. But back then, I was blind with excitement. The stage felt close. My body was changing, my confidence growing. We'd high-five every night saying, "We're going to crush it." And every time I said those words, she'd grin and whisper, "Yeah, we will." I didn't notice the difference between we and me. Not yet. All I knew was that my best friend stood beside me and nothing, absolutely nothing, could come between us. At least that's what I believed. But that smile she gave me after our last training session that week, it wasn't pride, it was envy, dressed as love. Have you ever trusted someone so much that you ignored the small signs they were jealous of you? Our routine became everything. Morning runs before sunrise, protein shakes for breakfast, and endless hours at the gym. Lena would always be there before me, stretching, headphones in, nodding to the rhythm of her music. She looked like someone born for this life. And honestly, she inspired me every single day. We'd train side by side, matching each other's pace, cheering through the pain. "No excuses," she'd say, tapping my shoulder. "You're built for greatness, girl." It felt good to have someone who believed in me that much. After workouts, we'd grab salads at the cafe across the street. She'd tweak my meals, saying things like, "You need more sodium," or "Try this energy bar, it helps with endurance." I never questioned her advice. She was the one who'd competed before. I trusted her like I'd trust a sister. We even started a shared transformation vlog. We'd record progress videos every weekend, flexing, posing, laughing. People online called us #GymSisters. The comments poured in. "You two are goals. Can't wait to see you both on stage." That validation felt addictive, and for the first time in years, I felt truly seen. But somewhere along the line, Lena began taking control of everything. My schedule, my macros, my supplements. She said it was to keep me disciplined. "You overthink too much," she'd laugh. "Just let me handle it." So I did. She started mixing my shakes for me after training, handing them over with that same reassuring grin. "Drink up, champ." Sometimes I'd notice the flavor was slightly off, a bit sweeter, a bit heavier. But she'd say, "It's just the new protein formula. Don't worry." And I didn't. Weeks passed and something strange started happening. My energy began to dip. My lifts got slower. My sleep felt heavier. I blamed stress, maybe hormones, maybe exhaustion from training too hard. But Lena told me to rest more. "One extra rest day won't kill you," she'd say. She even adjusted my plan, cutting back my training hours and increasing my carb intake. "Your body needs balance," she insisted. It sounded logical. So I followed. We'd sit outside the gym afterward, watching the sunset, sipping shakes. She'd talk about how we'd both walk on stage, shining, smiling, proving everyone wrong. Her voice sounded so convincing, warm, proud, sisterly. If I had just looked closer, maybe I would have seen how her eyes darted toward my shaker every time I took a sip. Or how she smiled just a little too much when I said I felt sluggish. But I didn't. I was too caught up in our friendship, in our shared dream, in the illusion that we were on the same team. If I just checked what was in that shake, maybe everything would have been different. Would you question your best friend if something started to feel off? Or would you trust them completely like I did? It started small. At first, I thought it was just fatigue. You know that feeling when your body moves but your mind lags behind? That was me. My lifts grew sloppy, my focus blurred. I'd stare at the weights, willing my arms to obey, but they felt like anchors instead of wings. Lena noticed, of course. She always noticed. She'd tilt her head with concern, her voice soft. "Maybe you're burning out. Take it easy today." So I dropped my reps, rest longer, smile weakly when she said, "Good girl." But inside, I was scared. Something wasn't right. My coach pulled me aside one morning. "You've been off lately," he said. "You're retaining water, losing tone. What's going on with your diet?" I froze. "My diet?" He frowned. "Too many carbs, maybe sodium. Are you following your plan?" I wanted to defend myself, tell him I was doing everything right. But the truth was I didn't even handle my diet anymore. Lena did. Later, I told her what the coach said. She laughed. "Oh, please, he's just overreacting. Men think they know everything about women's bodies." I laughed too, pretending she was right, because I wanted her to be right. But that night, I couldn't shake the unease. I stood in front of the mirror, tracing the reflection of my bloated stomach. My abs looked softer, my muscles dull. It felt like watching my progress slip away. Quietly, cruelly. Still, I didn't blame her. I blamed myself. Maybe I'd been lazy, distracted, emotional. Lena told me to stop overthinking. You're too hard on yourself, she said, handing me another shake. Drink this, you'll feel better. I drank. I always did. Days turned into weeks, and my energy sank lower and lower. I'd wake up exhausted, my mood swinging wildly. I cried once in the locker room for no reason at all. Lena held me tight. You're just tired, babe. Everyone crashes before they rise. And for a moment, I believed her again. But my coach didn't. He started tracking my stats. You're not progressing, he said bluntly. Something's wrong. I wanted to scream that I was trying, that I was following everything perfectly, that maybe my body just hated me. Instead, I smiled weakly and nodded. That night, Lena stayed back after everyone left. She wiped down the benches, humming softly. I watched her reflection in the mirror, her calm, her control. She looked like she owned the room, like she was already the winner. Something in my gut whispered that maybe she was, but I shook it off because she was my friend, my partner, my sister in sweat and dreams, and I couldn't imagine her wanting to hurt me. I thought my body was giving up, but it was something or someone else. If your progress suddenly stopped and your best friend kept saying it's fine, would you still believe them? By now, Lena felt like the anchor of my world. Every routine, every meal, every thought circled around what we were doing, not what I wanted. And honestly, I didn't mind. Having her beside me made the journey less lonely. She was my accountability partner, my sister, my mirror. She made everything look effortless. Her energy never dipped, her smile never faded. While I fought through exhaustion, she sparkled through every session. Fresh, glowing, untouchable. People at the gym started noticing the difference. She's peaking early, one guy whispered. Lena's got this competition in the bag. I laughed it off, pretending not to hear. Because if she won, I'd be happy for her, right? One evening, we stayed late. Everyone had left and the air smelled like chalk and metal. She sat cross-legged on the mat, scrolling through her phone while I dragged myself through my last set. When I dropped the dumbbells, she clapped playfully. Good job, champ. Now come drink your shake. I smiled, too tired to argue. The shaker was already waiting, cold, creamy, my name scribbled across the label. She said it made me feel stronger, and it did, for about 10 minutes. Then the heaviness crept in again. Lena noticed everything. She'd press a cold towel to my forehead, laugh softly. You're just overtraining, babe. You need to trust the process. I nodded like I always did. Trust. It had become the rhythm of our friendship. She even started prepping my meals for me, said she'd found a more balanced approach for competition prep. Every Tupperware neatly labeled, every bite planned. She said it was to save me time. It felt like love. It was control. When my coach asked for my food log, I showed him Lena's notes. He frowned, but I brushed it off, saying, she knows what she's doing. He sighed, you're too trusting, kid. And maybe he was right. But when you share sweat and pain and laughter with someone every day, how could you not trust them? At night, Lena would text motivational quotes, little voice notes like, don't worry, girl, we're gonna shine together. Sometimes she'd end with, I need you to believe in me like I believe in you. And I did. I believed in her more than I believed in myself. One night, I told her that. She smiled, a slow, quiet smile. That's why we work so well, she said. Her voice was soft, but her eyes glimmered with something I didn't recognize then, something sharp. She smiled when I told her I trusted her more than anyone. And maybe that was all she needed to hear. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you didn't see they were controlling your every move? The closer we got to competition day, the more I felt like my body was betraying me. The mirror stopped being kind. My definition blurred. My waist felt puffy. And no matter how much I trained, the results seemed to vanish overnight. Lena noticed, of course. She'd brush my hair back after posing practice, her voice honey-sweet. You're just holding a little water. Don't panic. It'll pass. But it didn't. And her smile, that calm, almost rehearsed smile, began to feel like a mask. I started waking up before her. I'd head to the gym early, hoping to squeeze in some extra cardio, but somehow, every time she'd show up minutes later, out of breath, laughing. Girl, you trying to ditch me? Her tone was playful, but her eyes, not so much. The gym had become a stage. Everyone watched us now, the two girls fighting for the crown. At first, it made me proud. Then, it started to feel like pressure. Every time someone complimented me, Lena's laugh grew a little tighter. Every time someone complimented her, she'd look over to see how I reacted. One day, I overheard two trainers talking near the water station. Lena's in incredible shape this season, one said. Poor Maya, though. She looks tired, like her prep's falling apart. The other replied quietly, maybe someone's getting in her head. Their words clung to me all day. Getting in my head? Number. It couldn't be. Not Lena. But that night, while wiping sweat off the floor, I caught her whispering near the vending machine with another competitor from our gym, a girl named Kayla. Their voices were low, but I caught a few words. Don't worry, Lena said. She won't make it to finals if this keeps up. Then they laughed. I froze. My heart raced. My palms trembled. They couldn't be talking about me, could they? I wanted to believe I'd misheard. So I smiled at her later that evening like nothing happened. She smiled back. Too quickly, too brightly. But my gut had already started whispering what my heart refused to hear. Over the next few days, I watched her differently. The shakes, the meals, the little notes on my containers. Everything she touched suddenly felt heavier. One afternoon, she asked, you trust me, right? I looked at her, really looked. The glimmer in her eyes didn't look like care anymore. It looked like satisfaction. But I still said yes, because I didn't know what else to say. That night, I couldn't sleep. The room was quiet, but my mind wasn't. Her voice echoed in my head. She won't make it to finals. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I wasn't. But deep down, I knew something inside me had cracked. A small fracture in the trust that once held everything together. Would you confront your best friend if you overheard her talking about you? Or would you wait to be sure? That morning, the gym felt colder than usual. The metal bars gleamed sharper under the lights. Every sound, clanking weights, echoing footsteps, made me uneasy. Lena was late, which was rare, so I trained alone. For the first time in months, I felt free, but I didn't know why. After my set, I went to grab my shake from my locker. But there were two bottles, both labeled with my name. I frowned. She'd never made two before. One looked newer, colder, the other slightly warm. I hesitated, then curiosity won. I unscrewed both lids and sniffed. One smelled normal, chocolate and vanilla. The other, sweeter, almost too sweet. Something inside me twisted. I set them down and opened my locker. Inside, tucked under my towel, was a folded piece of paper. It wasn't mine. Her handwriting was unmistakable. Perfect cursive, pink ink, little hearts at the corners. It was a meal chart. At first, I smiled. She made me another plan, I thought. Then I looked closer. The labels made no sense. The protein amounts were doubled, fats tripled. Every note had my name at the top, but across the margin, written in smaller letters, were the words, special version, for her. My breath hitched. The shakes, the meals. I grabbed my phone and compared it to my old screenshots. The plan we'd started with months ago. The difference was shocking. She'd slowly increased my calories every week. I wasn't plateauing naturally, I was being fed into failure. My hands shook. I sat there in the locker room, staring at that paper, every memory flashing like lightning. Her laugh, her encouragement, the way she'd always hand me the shaker first, the sweetness, the fatigue, the timing. It all fit. Just then, the door creaked open. Lena walked in, her usual grin plastered on. Hey, girl, early start today? I froze. The paper trembled in my hand. She glanced at it just for a second, and her face changed. Barely, but enough. What's that? She asked too casually. I swallowed hard. You tell me. Her smile didn't reach her eyes this time. She stepped closer. It's just notes, babe. Don't freak out. I couldn't speak. My throat felt dry, my pulse wild. She reached out to grab the page, but I pulled it back. Why does it say special version for her? I whispered. For a long second, silence filled the room. Then she sighed. You're overreacting. You trust me, right? And for the first time, I didn't answer. I looked at my name written on the shaker, the paper still warm in my hands, and something inside me broke. If you discovered your best friend had been secretly sabotaging you, would you confront her or walk away silently? I stood there frozen, still clutching that crumpled page. The gym felt silent now, like even the weights had stopped to listen. Lena kept smiling, but her eyes darted around, searching for a way to twist the story. I took a slow breath. Tell me the truth, Lena. Were you changing my meals? She laughed. Too loud? Too fake? Oh my God, Mia, seriously? You think I'd poison you or something? Come on. Her voice echoed off the mirrors, but underneath that laugh, I could hear fear. I didn't say poison, I said quietly, but you knew I trusted you. Every plan, every shake. And now I find two bottles with my name and a note saying, special version. She folded her arms, defensive now. You're being dramatic. I was just experimenting. You weren't making progress, so I adjusted things. Without telling me? Because you would have panicked. You always second-guess everything that hit deeper than I expected. She always used my insecurities like weapons, soft, disguised as concern. I looked her straight in the eyes. No, Lena, you used me. You didn't want me to win. You wanted me to depend on you. Her expression flickered, just for a heartbeat, and that's when I knew I was right. Do you even hear yourself? She snapped. You think I care that much about your little transformation story? Please. I'm competing at a level you could never reach those words cut clean. Not because they were true, but because that's what she really believed. So that's it, I said softly. You couldn't stand me getting attention. You had to keep me beneath you. She rolled her eyes, tossing her ponytail back. You're not a victim, Mia. You just couldn't handle the grind. Something inside me steadied then. The shaking stopped. My voice came out calm, too calm. You know what? You're right. I couldn't handle your grind. The fake smiles, the secret plans, the way you hide cruelty under compliments. I dropped the note on the bench between us. We're done, she blinked. What does that mean? It means you don't control me anymore. For a moment, she looked almost human, like she wanted to explain, maybe even apologize. But then her jaw tightened. Fine. Good luck without me. I turned to leave. But before I walked out, I said the one thing she couldn't fake her way around. You taught me something, Lena. The strongest people aren't the ones who lift the most weight. They're the ones who walk away when someone keeps trying to break them. Then I left, shaker still on the bench, paper fluttering behind me. The metal door closed with a heavy clang, echoing through the empty gym. And just like that, the silence finally felt peaceful. Have you ever realized someone's kindness was really control? What did you do when you finally saw it? The next morning, the gym felt different. I walked in alone, no shared playlists, no Lena waiting with her fake smile and perfect ponytail. Just me, my reflection, and a mirror that suddenly looked honest. For the first few days, I kept hearing her voice in my head. You're not built for this, Mia. You overthink everything. Those words played on loop whenever the weights felt heavy, whenever my arms trembled. But instead of breaking me, they became background noise, like static I refused to tune into. I changed everything. I threw away every supplement she'd ever given me, replaced them with things I researched myself. I stopped checking her Instagram, stopped comparing my body to her filtered photos. I focused on something she never understood, discipline, not drama. Still, I won't lie. It hurt. There were nights I sat in my car after workouts, staring at the steering wheel, wondering if I'd wasted months trusting the wrong person. But then, in the stillness, I realized something. The reason her betrayal cut so deep wasn't because she fooled me. It was because I believed she cared. That realization didn't destroy me. It freed me. I started training at odd hours, early mornings before sunrise. The gym was quiet, and in that silence, I rebuilt myself. Every rep became a small promise. You can do this alone. Every drop of sweat felt like truth leaving my body, replacing doubt with clarity. One morning, as I finished my last set, I caught my reflection again. Same girl, same eyes, but something new behind them. Fire, not fear. Coach Ramirez noticed. He walked over, arms crossed, and said, You've changed, kid. Less noise, more focus, I smiled. Guess I finally started listening to the right person. Who's that? He asked. Myself. He nodded, gave me a new competition prep plan, and said, then let's show them what silence can do. From that day, I didn't train for revenge. I trained for peace. For every time someone doubted me, every time I doubted myself. And slowly, people started noticing. A few other girls at the gym, ones who used to orbit around Lena, came up to me quietly. One said, I saw what she did to you. I'm sorry. She did it to others too. I just smiled and said, then maybe it's time we stop letting people like her decide who deserves to win. It wasn't about beating Lena anymore. It was about reclaiming my story, rep by rep, day by day. And for the first time, I wasn't scared to face the mirror. Because now, when I looked at my reflection, I didn't see competition. I saw a survivor, a woman who refused to stay small just because someone else was afraid of her light. Have you ever turned pain into motivation? What helped you keep going when you wanted to quit? The day finally came when I stepped back into the gym with purpose. The air smelled the same, sweat, metal, determination, but I felt different, lighter, sharper, unstoppable. Every step I took was mine alone. I trained harder, but smarter. Every rep, every set, every pose on the mat was calculated, precise, intentional. I wasn't chasing Lena or proving a point to anyone. I was proving it to myself. People noticed. Whispers followed me down the halls. She's glowing. Look at her now. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The mirror already told me everything. The night before the competition, I packed my bag, carefully laying out my outfit, my supplements, my playlists. Everything was mine, untouched by anyone else. For the first time in months, I felt calm, grounded, ready. Competition day arrived like a storm wrapped in glitter. Backstage was chaos, models, athletes, trainers, all buzzing with nerves and excitement. And then I saw her, Lena, smiling, confident, practiced, perfect. My heart fluttered, a mix of anger and pity. I didn't look away. I didn't need to. I warmed up, stretched, posed. Every motion was fluid, every breath controlled. When the announcer called us to the stage, I felt the weight of months of betrayal, sweat, and silent determination lift. And then it happened. The lights, the music, the crowd. I stepped onto the stage. My body gleamed under the spotlight, toned and sharp, but more importantly, alive, strong, free. Across the stage, Lena posed, flawless as ever. The crowd cheered, cameras flashed, and for a second, I almost felt that old fear. The fear of being overshadowed, of being sabotaged. But then I remembered everything. Every shake, every note, every whisper. And I smiled. Not at her. At me. Every flex, every turn, every smile I gave the judges carried my story. Not the story of betrayal, not the story of jealousy, the story of a girl who refused to be broken. The applause was thunderous. Backstage, Lena glanced at me, a flash of something between shock and respect crossing her face. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. I'd already won. Because this victory wasn't about a trophy or a medal. It was about reclaiming my power, my body, my mind. And nothing could take that from me. Not jealousy, not sabotage, not even my closest friend's betrayal. Later, as I looked into the mirror behind the stage, I saw her there too. Lena, smaller somehow, tense, shadowed. And for the first time, I realized it wasn't her who lost. It was her fear that trapped her. I walked off stage with my head high, heart light, muscles burning, and a quiet smile on my face. I was unstoppable. I was mine. And I knew that no one could ever control me again. Have you ever faced someone who tried to sabotage your success? How did it feel to finally rise above them? Months have passed since the competition. The stage, the lights, the crowd, they're memories now tucked into the corners of my mind. But the lessons I learned linger, permanent and unshakable. Lena, I don't see her anymore. Not because I hate her, but because I finally realized that some people aren't meant to walk beside you forever. Some are only meant to teach you what strength really feels like. I rebuilt my gym routine, my nutrition, my life, around myself. No one's plan, no one's opinion, no one's manipulation. Every early morning run, every late night stretch, every protein shake I make with my own hands reminds me of the girl I was and the woman I've become. I've forgiven her, silently. Not because what she did was okay, but because I refuse to let anger control me. Betrayal cuts deep, yes, but holding on to it keeps the wound alive. I wanted to close that chapter, even if the scars remain. And the best part? I feel lighter, freed whole. I mentor a few younger girls at the gym now. I watch them train, giggle, grow, and I see the same trust I once gave blindly. But now I teach them to be careful, to protect themselves, to find strength in themselves first. I tell them, muscles heal faster than hearts, but both can grow stronger if you feed them right. Sometimes I remember the shake, the notes, the secret smile. It used to sting, like salt in a fresh wound. But now I smile softly, because that pain became my fire. The betrayal didn't stop me. It didn't define me. It sharpened me. When I look in the mirror now, I see my body, yes, but more than that, I see resilience. I see a mind that refused to break, a heart that chose trust wisely, and a spirit that refused to shrink. And for the first time, I understand something important. It's not the people who try to sabotage you who determine your worth. It's the choices you make afterward. Do you crumble or do you rise? I chose to rise every single day. Lena taught me one last lesson without knowing it. Some people enter your life to support you. Some enter to challenge you. And some enter to show you exactly how strong you are when left to your own power. I walk into the gym now, no music blasting, no distractions, just me and my reflection. And I smile because I'm finally free, stronger than yesterday, ready for tomorrow, and entirely beautifully mine. Have you ever turned a betrayal into a lesson that made you stronger? How did it change you?